So here's the board so far, and that's the plastic going up the wall there. So that's kind of what's going on. So it's looking better. We just have to do these inserts here, and then we'll be good to go. So here's the 2 walls that are done. It's all the way up to the very top. And all the way down there. Well, here we are. It's been a long process. We tore down all the old insulation up above and sealed all the vents, and so now we're insulating the wall with foam board. So I'm doing the wall, and then I'll be doing these boxes here following. When we ripped out the old insulation between the floor joists, we realized that the humidity picked back up in here. And so we're hoping that just by insulating the walls, we will be able to control the humidity once again. If not, we might have to re-insulate the floor joists, which I hope that's not the case, but we'll see what happens. So, but what I'm using here is I'm using a hammer drill that I invested in with a 5/32 masonry drill bit here. And then I'm using these tapcons. I have to get the exact measurement for you. But they work extremely well through the 2-inch foam board and drill right into the concrete or the masonry blocks. And then I'm using these washers as well. So system's working pretty well. I'm gonna foam, if you look way down there, you can see foam around the top and bottom of those boards that were installed. And so I have to foam all around these as well, just to make sure it has a really good seal on it. I took the plastic up the foundation a bit, so heaven forbid there's any more leaking, it'll go right down to the trench that we have with our perforated corrugated pipe. All right, so I am months from when I first started this project. You can see there's insulation on the walls. There's insulation above. The cracks are sealed with insulation. For the most part, I've got some to finish yet. Now I am trying to gauge if how my foundation's doing in regard to whether it's continuing to settle or not. So I'm putting marks along the foundation on the insulation here to see where things are at. So I've got these marks here. I use the laser level to mark these, and I'll come back later and see if they've gone down further, and if so, what direction, what's settling, what's not. And I've also done this on the center beam here. So as I put the laser level, check this line out, see what goes on with this beam. You can see this beam is sloping. It gets greater and greater and greater. So we're talking some serious settling here. Before I fix the water coming in on the outside of this foundation wall, there was water coming in right in this area, as well as in that corner, as well as over here by the sump pump. There's still a little bit of water coming in right there, but I'm not very worried about it because now the moisture's controlled. And it comes in, but it's taken out with that sump pump, of course. So, but I think that one of the biggest reasons this area of the foundation is settled is because of the moisture that was coming in there. So now that the moisture on the outside is sealed off and not coming in anymore, or at least very little, now I think the foundation will be settling less. But I'm putting these marks on here just to watch, and if needed, I'm gonna put some pole jacks in here and address this problem. And if I need to actually entirely eliminate this foundation wall that is compromised. And the pole jacks will do the majority of the lifting, if not all of it. So I'm gonna continue around throughout this space and keep marking so I can know what's going on with my crawl space. We'll see ya. So here I am at our beam. You can see my lines that I've traced right here, mimicking the laser level that I had. And I measured it now. I've measured this space between the line on my beam from the laser level and the bottom of my beam. And that's gonna tell me, that's gonna give me a mark of difference between this end of the beam and the other end of the beam. So you're gonna see in just a second. So I measured this. This is 3/4 of an inch. It's not the measurements that matter. You're gonna see in just a minute, it's the difference in measurements. So keep in mind 3/4, and I'm gonna take you to the other side of the beam, way down there, and I'm gonna show you the difference in measurements from that level line, okay? All right, so now we're on the other side of this beam. That's where we were. Again, you can see our marks all the way along here. Do you see how much more space there is as we come down this way? That means that here's the level line. This beam is dropping below that level line. So our measurement here is 3 inches. So back there was 3/4 of an inch, if I remember right. So the difference would be 2¼ inches that this has dropped. So that's what we're looking at. So I'm gonna come back in a few months and I'm gonna measure this again, and I'm gonna see how much more it's dropped, if any. Hopefully it hasn't, but if it has, we're gonna have to take action here and do something different to take the pressure off of this foundation that is settling more and more. So we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna measure the rest of the crawl space and we'll see what information we get. Can't make decisions until you have information.